By the early 17th century, the old Gaelic political order was coming to an end. The flight of the Earls in 1607 had removed the last great lords of Ulster. The plantation was gathering momentum, and Gaelic landholding was being replaced by new settlers loyal to the English crown. Against this background, one of the great works of Irish scholarship was produced. It was a historical chronicle known as the Annals of the Four Masters. The man behind the project was a Franciscan lay brother called Micheál O'Clery. He was born in County Donegal into a family of historians. As a young man, he trained as a scribe. Later, he joined the Franciscan order and studied at the Irish College in Louvain in what is now Belgium. There, the Irish friars were working hard to preserve Irish learning and religious tradition. Both were under serious threat back home due to the spread of the plantation and the destruction of Gaelic society. Later, his order sent O'Clery back to Ireland with a specific mission. He was to travel the country and collect any historical manuscripts that still survived. Brother O'Clery did not work alone. He worked with 3 fellow scholars who shared that same tradition of hereditary learning. Their patron was a local lord named Fergal O'Gara. It was his funding that made the years of work possible. Later, historians came to call the team simply the Four Masters, and the name has stuck ever since. They worked at a Franciscan friary in County Donegal. Between 1632 and 1636, they spent 4 years gathering, comparing, and copying older sources into one continuous chronicle. They drew on earlier collections like the Annals of Ulster, as well as monastic records, genealogies, and local traditions from all over the country. And where the sources disagreed on dates or events, the compilers simply noted the disagreement instead of choosing one version over another. That careful comparative approach is what gives the Annals real value as a historical record. The finished work is vast. It opens with the arrival of the first settlers in Ireland. The compilers dated this to 40 days before the Great Flood in the Book of Genesis. From there, it goes year by year, recording the deaths of kings, the founding of monasteries, battles, plagues, and the affairs of the noble families, right up to 1616. You will find accounts covering the Viking raids, the Battle of Clontarf in 1014, the arrival of Strongbow, and the Norman invasion of 1169. The reliability of the annals changes depending on the period. Historians treat the entries differently according to when they were written. The earliest material covers the centuries after the biblical flood. Historians treat these entries as evidence of how Gaelic Ireland understood its distant past, rather than reliable accounts of past events. From the 6th century onwards, the entries start drawing on the work of Irish monastic scribes, and from that point the record grows steadily more reliable. By the 9th century, it is usually accepted as a genuine historical source, though an occasionally biased one. Later entries, from the 12th century onwards, were based on detailed documents kept by Gaelic families. It is this final part of the Annals that historians regard as the most trustworthy entries in the whole Chronicle, especially from the 14th century right through to 1616. The original manuscripts were passed between religious houses and collectors over the next 2 centuries. In the 19th century, the scholar John O'Donovan produced a complete edition with an English translation. It was published in the 1850s, making the Annals accessible to a far wider readership. It remains the standard reference used by historians today when studying medieval Ireland. The original manuscripts are now held in Dublin, divided between the Royal Irish Academy and University College Dublin. If you're interested in reading the 19th century translation, it is freely available online. For example, copies are available at archive.org. Hard copies can also be purchased online at Amazon. However, when I looked recently, the available copies were quite expensive. The Annals of the Four Masters are extraordinary. They offer a unique view into the medieval history of Ireland. They are a primary source for anyone studying the impact of the Viking and Norman invasions and the long decline of Gaelic society. In the end, they are the fullest surviving record of Gaelic Ireland, compiled in those final years before that world disappeared for good.